Good day, we are Group 1 of BM3 and along with my group mates we'll be talking about hacking. We'll explore what it is, its types, and real-world impacts, and how we can prevent it. By the end, you'll see that hacking isn't always bad. It's also about protecting and securing our digital world. Without further ado, we'll now proceed with the introduction to hacking.
So let us begin by defining what hacking actually is. So hacking is the act of gaining access to computer systems, networks, or data. This access can be classified as either authorized or unauthorized, and it is usually done by exploiting technical flaws or human mistakes. While most people think that hacking is always bad, it is important to remember that not all hacking is actually malicious. Some hackers use their skills to improve security and not only to break it. However, historically speaking, the word hacking didn't mean breaking into computer systems at all. In the 1960s, students used the word to describe clever problem-solving skills and creative programming tricks. However, over time, the media began associating hackers with certain illegal activities, such as cyber attacks and data theft. Today, hacking has two meanings. In one sense, it is about innovation and problem solving, but in another sense, it is tied to certain cybercrimes. Now, why should we actually study hacking? In a social level, hacking affects everyone's privacy, security, and overall trust in certain digital platforms. So think about how people would feel if they heard that a popular application or website that they use was actually involved in a data breach. Now, on a professional level, IT practitioners must learn how hackers think in order to defend against them properly. By studying hacking, we become better prepared to protect ourselves, strengthen digital defenses, and use technology more defensively. So now let us look at some different categories of hackers. So they are usually grouped into three categories: white hat hackers, black hat hackers, and gray hat hackers. These categories reflect their motivations. Some hackers work to protect systems, others work to exploit them, and some fall somewhere in between the two. Now let us look at them in much greater detail. White hat hackers are also known as ethical hackers. These guys work as penetration testers, consultants, or researchers, and they often find vulnerabilities before criminals do. For example, companies like Google or Microsoft often run bounty programs where they are paying ethical hackers for discovering certain flaws in their systems. Their ultimate goal is to make the digital world a much safer place. Black hat hackers, on the other hand, are almost the complete opposite. They exploit systems for malicious purposes, such as stealing credit card details, spreading malware, or running ransomware attacks. Their actions are illegal and usually financially motivated. Now, gray hat hackers operate somewhere in the middle. They may find flaws without permission and sometimes expose them publicly, which forces companies to fix the problems. So, for instance, a gray hat hacker might hack into a website, prove it's vulnerable, and then announce it online. Even if their intent isn't actually harmful and they wish to help people, their actions are still legally questionable. So what are some common hacking techniques? So hackers use many different techniques, and these generally fall into two different categories. One which are technical attacks, which target software or hardware vulnerabilities, and the second are psychological attacks, which trick people into making mistakes. Some common examples of these include phishing, malware, denial of service, SQL injection, and social engineering. Let's go through these one by one. So first, let us talk about phishing. Phishing is one of the most common techniques, and it is when hackers send fake emails or messages that actually look legitimate in order to trick people into giving away sensitive data, like passwords or bank details. And another technique is malware, which is short for malicious software. These are when viruses attach themselves to certain programs, worms that spread automatically through networks, and then ransomware locks your files until you pay a certain amount of money. And finally, social engineering. Social engineering focuses on exploiting people rather than machines. Hackers usually manipulate the trust and human behavior to gain access. Another common tactic included in social engineering is impersonating authority figures or baiting people with fake offers or pretending to be technical support. For instance, an attacker might call an employee pretending to be IT support and then ask for their login password. Studies have shown that phishing attempts that impersonate authority, like a fake email from a CEO, are among the hardest for people to ignore. This proves that the human factor will always be the weakest link in cybersecurity.
Threat to privacy and personal data. Hacking often involves unauthorized access to sensitive information such as personal details, financial records, and private communications. This invasion of privacy puts individuals at risk of exploitation and creates fear of constant surveillance in the digital world. Stolen information can be used by hackers to impersonate victims, open bank accounts, or conduct fraudulent transactions. This not only causes financial loss but also long term damage to victims' reputation and their credit standing. Cyberbullying and online harassment. Some hackers misuse their skills to harass or intimidate others online by leaking private information, spreading false rumors, or defacing personal accounts. This can lead to psychological harm, anxiety, or even depression among victims. Loss of public trust in technology and institutions. When large scale hacking incidents occur, like government breaches, banks, or even healthcare systems, the public loses confidence in technology and the institutions that manage their data. This mistrust can hinder digital transformation and adoption of online services. IT professionals carry the responsibility to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of systems they manage. Negligence or weak security practices can expose organizations to hacking, so professionals are expected to apply best practices and proactive defense. White hat hackers and security researchers face ethical questions when testing systems. For example, should they exploit vulnerabilities to prove a point? Is it ethical to disclose a vulnerability publicly before it is patched? Balancing public safety with professional responsibility is a key dilemma. Some individuals use hacking as a form of whistleblowing, exposing corruption, government surveillance, or corporate misconduct. While their intentions may be to serve the public, their methods still involve breaking the law, raising debates on whether such actions are justified. Some professional organizations, like the Association for Computing Machinery and the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, provide codes of ethics to guide professionals. These emphasize honesty, responsibility, respect for privacy, and prioritizing the public good, values that hackers, even ethical ones, must adhere to. National laws like the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 criminalizes offenses such as illegal access, data interference, cybersquatting, and identity theft. Hackers caught violating these provisions face penalties including fines and imprisonment. The Budapest Convention is the first international treaty that addresses internet and computer crimes by harmonizing national laws and improving international cooperation. Countries that are signatories work together to investigate, prevent, and prosecute cross border hacking incidents. Legal consequences for hacking may vary on severity and jurisdiction. Penalties may include hefty fines, imprisonment, or even sanctions for organizations involved. Beyond criminal punishment, hackers may also face civil lawsuits for damages which caused to individuals or companies.
Now, moving on to real world examples of hacking, let's take a closer look at how some of the biggest cyber attacks have shown just how serious the risks really are. According to sources like Vox, New York Times, and Twingate. These cases don't just affect big companies, they can impact millions of ordinary people like us. First, the Sony hack in 2014, where hackers infiltrated Sony Pictures, stealing private emails, unreleased films, and sensitive employee data. They leaked this information online as a retaliation for the comedy film The Interview, which mocked North Korea. The attack didn't just damage Sony financially, it embarrassed the company and sent shockwaves across Hollywood, exposing how vulnerable even large corporations can be. Next, the Yahoo breach in 2013. What seemed like a typical cyber incident turned out to be catastrophic. Years later, Yahoo revealed that all 3 billion user accounts have been compromised. Hackers stole names, phone numbers, password, and even security details, with some of this data ending up in the hands of the criminals and spies. This remains one of the largest and most dangerous data breaches in history. Finally, here in the Philippines, the Comelec, or known as Comelec breach in 2016, hackers broke into the Commission of Elections website and leaked personal information of about 55 million voters, including addresses, birthdays, and even passports. This became one of the biggest government data leaks worldwide, raising serious concerns about the safety of election systems and voters' privacy. Now that we've seen the damage that hacking can cause, let's move on to something equally important: how to prevent hacking. The first line of defense is always having a strong password in a multi-factor authentication, or MFA. Strong passwords reduces the chance of being guessed or cracked, while MFA adds an extra lock or layer to it. Even if hackers steal a password, they won't be able to access the account without that second layer of verification. Next is regular updates and backups. Outdated software is one of the easiest ways in for hackers because they exploit known flaws. By keeping systems updated and creating regular backups, organizations can both block intrusions and recover quickly if an attack happens. Another crucial measure is employee training. Hackers often target people, not just technology. Through phishing emails or fake links, teaching employees to spot these tricks reduces one of the biggest vulnerabilities, which is the human error. Now, we also need to continuously do security testing and monitoring. This means running regular penetration tests, using firewalls, and applying encryption to keep sensitive data safe. These tools help catch weaknesses before hackers do. Finally, modern AI-powered solutions are becoming a game changer nowadays. Tools like this can analyze user behavior, detect suspicious activity in real time, and adapt as new threats emerge. That means hackers have a much harder time staying ahead. Now let's talk about the ethical sides of hacking. First, is hacking always wrong? The answer to this is no. When hacking is used to steal data, cause harm, disrupt systems, that's clearly what you call unethical. But not all hacking falls into that category. If a company gives permission to test their systems, then it becomes ethical hacking. And that type of hacking is actually good because it helps identify weak points before malicious hackers can exploit them. Next, can hacking ever be justified? Some cases, yes. For example, if an ethical hacker finds a vulnerability in a website and reports it before criminals can take advantage of it, that is justified action. It's like fixing a broken lock before a thief can break into a house. The intent here is to protect, not to exploit. Finally, let's consider the role of ethical hackers in society. These individuals are often called digital superheroes. Instead of using their skills to harm others, they use them to protect. They test systems, find weaknesses, and work with other organizations to strengthen defenses. In today's world where cyber attacks are growing more frequent and more dangerous, ethical hackers play a critical role in keeping people and businesses and even government safe. Our conclusion. Let's connect everything we've discussed. From the technical side, hacking reminds us that systems will always have their weak points. That's why updates, monitoring, and strong defenses are absolutely necessary to stay ahead of threats. On the social side, hacking impacts real people. It doesn't just mean losing files, it can mean stolen money, broken privacy, and even loss of trust in the apps and platforms we use every single day. Looking at the professional side, IT experts and organizations play a key role in building trust. They need to set a clear standard securing their systems, and most importantly, educate users on how to stay safe online. For the ethical perspective, we saw a clear line. Some hackers can cause harm, while others are ethical hackers that uses their skill to protect and strengthen defenses. That's where values and responsibility come into play. And finally, Through real-world examples like ransomware attacks, we learned that hacking is not just a theory, it happens, and it can affect entire businesses, governments, and community. But the good news is that prevention and awareness and global cooperation can reduce the risk. So, to wrap it all up, hacking isn't just about computers, it's about the people, the responsibility, and the choices we make in using technology wisely. Again, we are Group 1 of Section BM3. We hope you find this video helpful and informative. Thank you and goodbye.